It is one of the famous philosophical questions that countless of philosophers had to ask themselves. Knowing oneself is one of the primary keys to understanding human behavior.
Today, we're going to talk about the famous and respectable philosopher who gave his perspective on his knowledge about understanding the true nature of the self.
Aurelius Augustine Augustinus was born at the 13th of November 354 AD and died at the age of 76 on the 28th of August 430 AD. He became a hero at the age of 18 in Manichaeism, which led to 9 years. Later on, Augustine converted to ascetic Christianity and gave up both his shares of rhetoric and a further career prospect after a winter of philosophical leisure at the rural estate of Cassisium near Milan. Augustine was baptized by Ambrose at Easter of 387, and that's how began to be a priest of Hippo, and later on became the well-known as Saint Augustine of Hippo.
Augustine's approach to philosophy is more religious, and based on the teaching of Catholic Church, he supported the idea of Plato about the dualism of self, which is a person has two parts, the body and the soul. However, unlike Plato, Augustine's philosophy about self is much reverent. He believes that the body and soul are what a person is made of, and both are attached to one another to make a person whole and complete.
According to this philosophy, the body is destined to die and eventually decay, but the soul is immortal and eternal after death. The soul of man can transcend to the eternal realm and will be judged whether it will rest in the hands of heaven or the inferno of the abyss. He put emphasis on the soul and said every man and woman shall have a goal to have a spiritual union with God, so our soul shall rest in paradise. He believes that the human soul is what governs and defines the true self of a person.
This opened up the question, do you believe the life after death? Do heaven and hell exist? Nobody can prove this concept, but Augustine used this idea to deeply define the soul as the true self of a person, because it is capable of transcend and becoming immortal. But it can only exist alone in the eternal realm, and the soul cannot exist without the body on earth. Hence why the body and soul are what made the person whole. According to Augustine, the true self of a person is defined by his or her relationship with God. He believes that the only way to accomplish inner peace and the self-fulfillment is by God's love, and God's love alone.
Thou hast made us for thyself, O Lord, and our heart are restless until they find its rest in thee. Or in a modern English, you have made us for yourself, O Lord, and our heart are restless until they rest in you. Quote by Saint Augustine.
In the teaching of the Christian Church, we humans are made by God, the one above us all. He gave us life, therefore, we had the ability to take what was given. Augustine believed that we can only find inner peace when we reach heaven, where God's reign forever, and our soul will be rich only with God's presence alone. My understanding, Augustine proposed the idea that the soul is what your true self is, despite Plato's idea that the man is made up of both body and soul. Though the soul cannot exist without the body, the soul is still immortal because it can transcend to heaven. In my opinion, if we're talking about religiously, I say I agree. Our body will eventually die, but our soul will still remain. That's also the reason why we go to church every Sunday, so the people could feel closer to God, and our soul will be feel full and complete. However, if we're talking about scientifically, there is no scientific proof of existence of soul. And I had this question about what about those who had different religion that didn't worship the Catholic God? What would happen to their soul? Christian philosophy is beautiful, however, it had flaws because I feel like there are more unanswered questions rather than answers. And his philosophy is more of clarification of God rather than understanding of a person's true self.
For me, I don't completely agree with the philosophy of Saint Augustine, because we all know that when we died, yes, we go to heaven, but no one can prove the theories are real.
I think that eventually the soul and the body are one. There is unconsciousness of pure existence at the dawn of consciousness. You still have a spirit, soul, or awareness that makes up the foundation of existence. The body appears in the sea of consciousness. The physical body emerges within the soul. This existence, consciousness, and joy are the self. It is specific to the body. The self is the result of unlocalized soul awareness localizing in a physical body. The soul, which is immortal and has many lives, is what gives the body life.